There is no list of top greatest cinema villains where there is no Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. He turned out to be not just another bad guy, but a multifaceted character, a clever strategist whose crazy speeches often hide the bitter truth about human vices.
Hi.
But if he is so unconventional, can we consider him exclusively a villain? Is a Joker really the main troublemaker in the city? Evil in the flesh, a threat and a nightmare of Gotham? Or maybe it's not like that at all, but exactly the opposite.
Why so serious?
We at About Movies have researched a lot of fan theories, and today we suggest you have a look at Batman's nemesis from a different angle and assume that he is the main character and savior of Gotham.
I thought my jokes were bad.
So, are you curious enough now? Then let's get started. So, what do we know about the Joker? As we've already said, Christopher Nolan's Joker, in our typical view, is the eternal opponent of Batman, a villain with obvious mental disorders. But it should be noted that the closer we get to the denouement of the film, the more consistent and planned the actions of the Joker turn out to be. All the incidents provoked by him add up to a completely logical, 1,000 times proven plan. And if you dig even deeper, it turns out that there are quite good intentions behind this plan of atrocities. The Joker is like a panacea for all the diseases of Gotham, and although there were some side effects, in the end, the city is still on the mend. In the entire DC universe, there is hardly a place more dangerous than Gotham City. It's just overflowing with all kinds of criminal contagion. There are criminal groups, corrupt politicians, thugs, and scammers. Already at the beginning of The Dark Knight, we become aware that some areas of Gotham are blocked due to increased crime. The city is ruled by violent politicians and corrupt officials. In general, peace and order are only dreamed of by a resident of Gotham.
You have any idea who you're stealing from?
The authorities are not even embarrassed that some dude in a bat suit allows himself to carry out the punishment of criminals on his own. And that's where, in the midst of all this mayhem and chaos, a certain character appears named Joe Kerr. Well, that is, Joker, if you didn't understand. With his appearance, everything in the city begins to change rapidly. The bribed representatives of the authorities are either killed or are serving their sentences in prisons. Batman disappears, and no one has been lynching for 8 years. What if I say that all these events are actually a detailed planned project of Joker? And although Joker himself would now question our theory because he wears the image of a chaotic psychopath who does not seem to have good intentions, but in fact, it is not so simple, and that's why. At the beginning of The Dark Knight, we observe the following picture. The Joker commits a bank robbery. This bank is subordinate to the gangsters, and he does it all with the help of a gang of professional thieves whom he subsequently kills, every one of them. It turns out that he kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Serious criminals have been eliminated, and access to the accounts of the most reputable gangsters of the city is open. However, Joker does not need dirty money, and the main motive that motivates him to act is not commercialism at all, and he proves it when he gets rid of the money by burning it. However, before doing this, he still uses some of the funds for his own purposes. For which ones? With the help of this money, he manages to discover where Lau, the corrupt accountant of the criminal boss Maroni, is hiding, and he is, as you remember, in Hong Kong, the capital of China, which does not extradite its citizens. Well, how can you do without the help of your most sworn enemy? Batman frees Lau with his own hands, and he finds himself in an even more unsafe place than before, because now Joker has access to him, which the psychopath actually uses. Thanks to Lau, we are back on the gangsters' accounts. You will say that this is just an element of the plot used for the purpose of plot development, but this is not the only case that confirms this theory. After all, Joker repeatedly eliminates robbers, mafia, corrupt politicians, and professional criminals, and gets rid of pawns first of all, and only then of kings. Harvey Dent, for example, followed a different method. He believed that in order to overcome petty criminals, you need to start with those big shots who are behind them, politicians, officials. But Joker has his own vision and his own approach. In his opinion, first you need to get rid of the actors playing by the rules of their director, destroy the whole show to hell, and then, later, get to the director himself. How do you like this assumption? Share in the comments your thoughts about Joker and his role in cleansing Gotham for crime. We read everything, and like the most interesting ones. So we're watching Batman, Dent, and, in fact, Joker fight for the fate of Gotham City. However, the first two were only participants in a large-scale, well-staged, and thoughtful performance of Joker. Thanks to Batman and Commissioner Gordon, Joker goes out to corrupt police officers. Some of them will even fall by the hands of Dent in the finale. Many of you, when you watched the scene of Commissioner Gordon's promotion, took Joker's applause as a mockery. However, there is a version that they were actually very sincere. Joker sees Gordon almost the only honest and fair person in this system. As a result, the Joker removed two ulcers on the body of Gotham: the Mafia, taking away its money, and corrupt government officials. But something is clearly missing. Or someone. Of course, the mysterious hero in the Batsuit, who is lynching all the thugs and bandits of the city. Why, then, are Batman and Joker sworn enemies if they pursue the same goals? If Batman is the main crime fighter in the city, let's turn to comics. Based on them, we see that not everyone liked Batman's methods of work. His name scared away not only criminals, but also ordinary people who believed that Batman, in fact, was the main cause of chaos and disorder in the city. His name was so loud, big, and at the time shrouded in mystery that it became a serious temptation for any bandit to find a hero and defeat him. But how? They tried to commit as many atrocities as possible to attract the attention of the legend and see it firsthand to challenge. The crime rate in the city grew rapidly due to the fact that Batman was, in a way, a measure of the ability of thugs. Everyone wanted to compete with the hero, test their strength, so the city was teeming with criminal gangs and murderers. This happens not only in comics, we see the same story on the screen. At the very beginning, we are shown that for other seekers of justice, Batman becomes a role model, and this pushes them to also take justice. In a law-abiding society, this is, of course, unacceptable. That's why Joker is fighting Batman, because this example, which pushes other people to commit more and more crimes, should be permanently erased from the memory of the residents of the city and stop generating even greater catastrophes. Bruce Wayne needs to be neutralized, but death is not an option, because if Batman dies, he will die the death of a martyr hero, and thus his name will be elevated to an even greater cult. But Harvey Dent was also an example for the people of Gotham, and after his death, his values and noble goals would become a real shrine for the residents. We can roughly understand how the Joker managed to influence Harvey's worldview so much. He undoubtedly influenced the consciousness of the Light Knight with the help of two incidents: the tragic death of Rachel and the explosion at the Enterprise. Joker deliberately put Batman on the wrong track so that he would get Harvey out and not let him die. Having survived, Harvey Dent reproaches himself for not being able to save his beloved and survived, and even with such terrible injuries. From such intense suffering, Harvey could have well lost his mind and, obsessed with a sense of revenge, began to make a reckoning. But Bruce Wayne was also in love with Rachel, so her death was a great loss for him and influenced his next actions. All the laws and ideas of Batman collapse, and he is forced to kill Harvey, as a result of which he disappears for many years, remaining in the memory of people no more than a hero of a myth. This is how The Dark Knight ends, but already in The Dark Knight Rises, we find out what happened all these 8 years, and it turns out that Gotham City did not live so badly. Quietly, calmly, there were no criminals to be tried, and all this idyll lasted until the appearance of Bane. Joker managed to explain to Batman in his own special, cruel way where he made a mistake and why his methods don't work. For example, the scene with 2 evacuation ferries at the very end of the film exists only to confirm the fact that the inhabitants of Gotham do not really want to harm each other. Civilians ride on one ferry, prisoners ride on the other. Joker threatens to blow up both ships, but gives the passengers of each of them a detonator. He promises to leave one of the ferries if his passengers blow up the other. As a result, both civilians and prisoners refuse to kill each other. The Joker revealed hope for kindness and love in this bandit corrupt place. As a result, Gotham has completely washed itself of the dirty deeds of criminal gangs and corrupt politicians, and this is not a feat of Batman, who bears the stigma of disturbing the peace of the city, and not Harvey Dent, who died before all positive changes began. This is a feat of Joker. After all, it was he who managed to expose corrupt policemen and influential people who stood behind them, eliminate entire mafia clans, depriving them of funds and cleaning up those who lead these clans, give the residents of the city a beautiful and inspiring image of Harvey Dent martyr, as well as deprive them of a vigilante in a batsuit who constantly violated the law by unconsciously calling on criminals to engage in battle with him, and by his example encouraging fighters to commit lynching. There is one scene that you have hardly ever seen, since it was cut from The Dark Knight and was not included in the final montage, which would have managed to clarify a lot about the true intentions of Joker. In this scene, which according to the authors was in the finale of the film, Joker, before he was taken away by his companions, encounters an elderly woman who crosses the road with him at the same time. His first impulse was to push the woman right under the bus, and he almost did it, but for some reason at the last second, he abruptly changed his mind and handed the elderly lady a $100 bill. This episode is the embodiment of the true essence of Joker, combining good and evil, cruelty and mercy, inadequate intentions, and, as a result, good actions. An interesting fact, when Heath Ledger worked on the image of Joker, he was also based on the hyena's form of behavior. Pay attention to his smile, timbre, and laughter. It's a copy of a hyena.
I'm a man of my word.
It also wanders around the desert looking for some kind of carrion to profit from, baring its teeth as if it is blurring into a crazy smile, and its howl somehow resembles laughter. And what are hyenas usually associated with? I know you already have hyenas from The Lion King in your head. With cunning, insincerity, malice, of course. And everything seems to fit together, because Joker is also the embodiment of evil in this universe. But in fact, hyenas by their nature are not fiends of hell at all. They simply perform their natural function of savanna orderlies. Hyenas dispose of viruses and bacteria in sick or dead animals, thereby protecting the fauna from the spread of infection. So it turns out that it is doing evil, but in the name of the good of its entire habitat. Actually, Joker does the same. He commits atrocities that ultimately work for a good purpose. He cleansed the city of corruption and crime and greed. And the most brilliant thing is that his noble plan came true, but Joker himself got absolutely nothing for it, remaining for everyone the most insidious and cruel villain of Gotham. But to tell the truth, this is the meaning of heroism: to do good and not expect a reward for it. And the thought that runs like a red thread through the plot of all the films actually refers us to Joker. Perhaps he is the real hero of Gotham City, a hero that the city did not ask for, but which it really needs very much. This is just an assumption, a collective image of many theories that the film has acquired over the years. Of course, you are free to decide on your own how to treat Joker. And if you like to unravel the hidden messages of movies like us, find Easter eggs, and sort out confusing storylines, we suggest you click on the icon that appears on your screen and find out something interesting about another cult movie, Fight Club. This theory will sound crazy at first, but the arguments in its favor are quite convincing. Follow the link and watch. And if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like and click on the subscribe button so as not to miss new theories and analyses. It was about movies. Bye!